Hey guys, this is Daryl.
And Aaron
on Travel with D&E. So as you can tell, we're no longer in our stateroom, sitting on our bed, filming these episodes. We're actually at home now, and so we had a couple of days that we still wanted to record our daily notes about the excursions or an at-sea day, the activities, all that kind of stuff. We wanted to document for you to be able to have a better idea of taking this same type of cruise or one similar. So right now we are at day 9, and yesterday was an at-sea day, and today we are going to go where?
We are docking at NCL's private island at Harvest Caye. It's a great little island. It's kind of a beach area. It has a pool area, has a zip line, has some fun in the sun areas. So. But we decided to go to learn more about the culture. So we wanted to go actually into Belize. So we booked an excursion, and it's the Mayan culture and medicine trail.
Right, and to get there, so once you unboard off the ship across the gangway onto the dock, they have two ways you can get over towards kind of the middle of the island where everything's at. You can walk, of course, which is what we did. But they also did have golf carts that was bringing everybody back and forth, especially those maybe who couldn't walk as easy or, that kind of thing. So it was kind of nice to have that.
Yeah.
So once we got over onto the island area where they had all the buildings and all the activities, again, we didn't really want to go do the beach thing. And so we did this excursion. So the first step was to go and board the ferry boat. And it's a 2-decker ferry boat that would bring us over to the mainland of Belize.
It was almost an hour boat ride.
Yeah, it's 45 minutes to an hour. We ended up having to actually face backwards. It was kind of weird the way the seats were. They were front and back, trying to cram a lot of people in. And so it's kind of get a crick in your neck. You're trying to see where you're going. All you can do is see where you've been.
Yeah. But there was a little bit of a breeze. It did have some windows on the side, so recommend if you do the same thing to make sure you get the seat by the window, get a little bit of a breeze.
Absolutely. You can go ahead and open up that window so it's blowing more on you than the next person. So.
Absolutely. All right, so we hit the mainland of Belize, and we met our bus driver, Juanita, or she said you could also call her Juana, whatever was
Well, her real name was Juana, but I think it was easier just to call her Juanita, was how she put it.
She left it to us, so that was fun. So she did give us a bunch of information, the history, a lot of historical information. She actually said that the island is Belize, but it's also called British Honduras.
And I think it was a British Commonwealth, still is a Commonwealth of Britain, but it used to be, Britain used to have much more authority, in its government and everything else. So. But they're still a Commonwealth, though, Britain.
Yeah. Lots of different people also.
Yeah, and from that, you do have a lot of people that have come and over the hundreds of years, whether that be from Europe, or that be from other countries, migrating and kind of creating that melting pot of people in Belize. And it's like everything from Mestizos, you got descendants of the Mayan, of course. You have, that's who we went to go see, some of the Mayans. Creole, and there was actually an Amish and Mennonite group, multiple groups there, and they actually, Juanita was talking about they came down and they created these settlements away from everybody else. So, they wanted to be on their own. They created a settlement out there. They got their own schools, their own stores, their own everything. And in a course of driving to the Mayan community, we passed an intersection. There was a Mennonite or Amish, not sure exactly, with a fruit stand or vegetable stand right there. I thought that was kind of cool. Just something unusual to see in Belize.
Speaking of the school, so we did pass by a school. School is mandatory in Belize. You have to register your child by age 5. For any reason, if they figure out that your child is not registered, you will get a visit from somebody from the government or the educational system. You have to answer why your child's not there. The situation is where that I believe she said 75% of the public school is funded by the government.
Right, and it's you see in some lesser developed countries there is no law requiring it, or if there is a law they don't really enforce it. But like Costa Rica is a good example, and in Belize here they take their education very seriously and they expect their kids to be in school, so that's a good thing.
Absolutely. So by this time, I believe it was about noon.
Yeah, we got to the Mayan community there about noon.
Yeah, pulled up to the Mayan village.
And everybody kind of unloaded off the bus, ready to stretch their legs.
They did recommend from the get-go to use bug spray because you'll see, we'll let you know, but we do go inside some of the more vegetated areas. So bugs were around that area, so we sprayed before we entered the village.
Yeah, so what you got is this particular house and the pavilion and all that. There's a Mayan shaman who was trained from one of the master shamans of years ago, and her husband who were there, and it was going to take part in all the excursions. And that was Aurora Garcia Saki and her husband.
So they greeted us right there. We pulled up the bus, got out, got our little bug spray on. They welcomed us and they walked us to a pavilion. It was nice. It was round in shape. They had several chairs with cushions for you to get comfortable. And the interesting thing was the roof was made from dried palm leaves.
Right. In the traditional kind of way that the Mayan would. In these countries you go along, the traditional huts or buildings, they have the straw type of roof, and it lasts, I believe he said, somewhere around 5 years usually, and then you got to replace it.
Yeah, because they use all natural. They do not go to Home Depot or Lowe's or anywhere for any of their materials. They do go out in the forest and they get their everything is natural. He did say that that pavilion had lasted through 3 hurricanes, right. So it was pretty sturdy. Yeah,
so first up, they both just kind of talked a little bit about the Mayan culture and the Mayan life that they lived there. And they actually did a little dance for us and asked if anybody wanted to participate. And I guess everybody was shy, so
nobody did.
But they did a little Mayan dance for us. That was really cool. So they talked a lot about health and about how their own tools, let's call it that, their Mayan culture, and how the shaman understand the plants and the bushes and the leaves and all that stuff, and how that helps with their health, and that's how they deal with health issues.
So they showed us the different leaves and plants that they use to try and heal people, and they passed them around, so that was pretty cool.
Right, and then once we kind of had a look at them while we were sitting down on the pavilion, then we kind of split in groups, and they led us on a tour through basically kind of a rainforest, jungle canopy type of place where plants are growing really well, thriving. There's vines growing all over the place. It looks like a rainforest. But they walked us through and showed specific plants, trees, or whatever the case may be. And he talked about it. We were with the husband of the shaman, who was obviously very knowledgeable as well. He talked to us about each of the ones of these different plants, how they use it, how often they use it, how would they recommend that to the community members to make them get better from whatever ails them. What was interesting is they talked about, it was interesting the way he said, this is what we do. I don't know what you do, but this is what we do. It was kind of interesting. But they also had some products, so they had some packaging that they had out by the tree. They'd have a wooden sign that showed what it was, painted on there, and they have a little shelf. Then they'd have a couple little products that they were hoping you'd buy too. So it was very, very informational. I loved it. We loved it from a cultural standpoint, and also, hey, they're trying to make a buck or two as well on the side.
Yeah. So once that wrapped up, we followed him back to the pavilion, and we were able to sample some tea. She had made some tea.
Yeah, she made some kind of herbal tea.
And while we were sipping on our tea, and she actually used some leaves and some ingredients on this it was a big stone that used to grind, and they said it was over 100 years old.
Yeah, those things last a long time.
They really do. And so what it ended up being was a natural bug spray.
I think they mixed citronelle in with it as well. And so if you think about how that citronelle smells, it has that particular smell or aroma to it.
Absolutely.
And she mixed this whole concoction up, ground it up, mixed it all up, and said, hey, if y'all want some, come up here and you can bottle it yourself.
And that's exactly what Daryl did.
Yeah, and so they had little plastic spray bottles that they had put up there and just allowed everybody to go up there and fill their bottle up with a little bit of insect repellent. Kind of fun.
It was fun. So then what did we do after that?
So I guess we moseyed over to the gift shop.
Yes.
Where they have all their products and souvenirs and even some Belizean beer. Which, you get thirsty when you're out in the rainforest, right?
Yep. And I did find it's a brown wooden plaque. I believe it had several different carvings out of it, and in the center was their medicine god. So I thought that I wanted to get something that was Mayan to remember the trip by.
Right. All right, so after they finished the old Belican and did our thing at the gift shop, we went ahead and that was the end of that part of the excursion. And we loaded on the bus again and took off, heading back towards the marina that we landed at with the ferry when we landed on the mainland.
Yeah. Again, Juanita talked with us, asked if we had any questions. The interesting thing was when we turned to go to the Mayan village, it was also the entrance to the jaguar reserve.
That's correct.
That was very interesting, and so everybody, she said, here's the deal: if any jaguars come around, that you have to circle me and cover me. And she was making all kinds of funnies, but that was very interesting to learn that they actually have jaguars.
Yeah, and I told her that all I gotta do is run faster than she does. But anyhow.
So she was very. We really enjoyed Juanita. She was very informative and kept us in laughter and learned a lot. Really cool things she did, though. She talked about a lot of the produce, and one of the produce she talked about was bananas. And she asked us if we would like to taste some bananas. So
some Belizean bananas, fresh.
Belizean fresh banana.
Yeah, so that was really cool. So there was a little bitty community that we passed through as we were driving, going back, on the way and going back. Juanita stopped the bus at the big old vegetable fruit stand.
It's a nice size one.
And went over there, didn't tell us about it. She went over and spent her own money and bought, what was it, I forget how many bananas, but
for
a whole each bag full.
Yeah, enough for all of us on the trip.
And that was really thoughtful of her. And that was a nice little gesture on her part.
Absolutely.
And so at this point, I guess we were probably a little bit after 3 o'clock, I think. And, on the bus journey, had the bananas, which were good. And then we ended up at the marina that we were getting ready to load the ferry to head back to Harvest Caye. And we got on the boat, I guess it was sometime around 3:30.
Sounds about right.
And about 45 minutes to get back to the boat, to get back really to Harvest Caye at the marina. And then we unloaded off the boat and headed back to the NCL Gem ship. And once we got back on the boat, of course, we go and drop our belongings off in our room, and it's time to go have fun, try to find some fun activities and things to do. Obviously, there's always food and beverages you can indulge in at any time or day on the ship. And so we did go to the Spinnaker, I think, at that point. And there was a game show. They call them game shows, whatever you want to call them. That was going on. And that was the complete opposites show. And it had already started. I think there was only like 20, 30 minutes left.
Yeah.
But it's basically couples that are just making fools of themselves.
It had some interesting games that I've never seen before. It was a challenge between 3 different couples. By the time we got there, one got eliminated. Then it came down to the final 2 couples.
Yeah, so it's a combination of asking you questions and making you do some stupid activity or some stupid gesture. And you just make a fool out of yourself, but have a good time doing it. Because they really did look like they were having fun.
They won a gold medal. Was presented with a gold medal. So
Yep.
that was fun.
And so kind of next we went over towards the Tradewinds.
Yeah, so they were having a sale on the charms. If you've watched previous videos, you've seen that I got a free bracelet from Tradewinds, and I've been adding charms, and they're normally $5 a charm. Well, they had a sale. It was 3 charms for $10, so had to head over and get my bargain, my 3 charms for $10. So we did that.
And I can't remember his name, but the guy who checked us out at the Tradewinds for a couple times we were in there was from Tunisia. Mm-hmm. And so again, that's all part of the fun, I think, of doing cruises is meeting people from other countries, not just on your excursions, but on board the ship. Mm-hmm. Our housekeeper, our room steward was from Indonesia. Mm-hmm. So it's a real interesting mixed bag of people from different nationalities and different cultures. That's just kind of the fun thing of a cruise, is experiencing those different cultures, not only excursions, but the people you're interacting with on the ship.
And they're very friendly. Again, it's been 20 plus years since we've been on a cruise, and we've only gone on Carnival. But I have to say, in every area, every aspect of the ship, every crew member smiled at you. If you asked them questions, they answered their questions. They all wanted to make sure you were having a good day, and they actually had a eye-to-eye conversation with you, and we found it very interesting.
Yeah, Wyatt, who was our Indonesian, the cabin steward, mm-hmm. He made a point of any time you were walking down the hall and he saw you, mm-hmm. he would stop whatever he's doing, face you, and just give you just dedicated attention. That has an impression when you're meeting people. Again, whatever he was doing, he'd stop, turn, ask us, how y'all doing? You having a good time? But just giving you his undivided attention. It was really pretty cool.
Yeah. So it was about 7 o'clock now after we left Tradewinds, and we went to Stardust for the second big show. So mm-hmm. they have smaller shows, comedian shows, but they had 2 main shows, and the big show for tonight was Get Down Tonight, which was all 70s music.
And again, these are like commercial productions. They're really a big activity, big scene.
The singers for the previous show were awesome, and the dancers, and they were supposed to have the same for this. But
yeah, so we're sitting there waiting. We think we were on the 3rd row or something. We got there early because we wanted to make sure we got good seats, because these are really good shows. And it kind of seemed delayed a little bit, and then finally they had to come on and say that their main theater curtain, the motor had evidently locked up or burned out, and they weren't able to open the.
And they worked on it for a while. We sat there for a little while.
So they weren't. While we were sitting there, they weren't able to open that main theater curtain, which is kind of important on a theater stage, right? Mm-hmm. And so at some point, they just said, hey, look, we're going to postpone. We're going to try to get that motor changed out or do whatever. We're going to have to postpone the start. Then they were going to do a later than usual show, like something starting after 11 or something like that, just to give everybody an opportunity to be able to go. And I think at that point, we just said, all right, so let's go eat. Or I think it would go to the Atrium, or what did we do at that point?
So we went to the Atrium to grab a drink and see if we saw any of our friends that we've been meeting up with at the Atrium, see if there was a game show going on. And things were finalized and stuff, but we decided after a long day we were hungry. So as we got up, we saw a couple of the heads of different areas off to this side. Yeah, so in the Atrium,
against kind of the side of the room, you had the general manager, you had the restaurant or food and beverage director, mm-hmm. you had the ship captain, mm-hmm. and you had 3 or 4 others who are all the management or leadership of the ship, mm-hmm. and they were all in that area. And I actually said, Aaron, I want to talk to him just briefly. Because I want to point it out, and I've said it on previous episodes, no matter where you are in the ship, if you're leaving the ship, going across the gangway, doing an excursion, you're coming back, you're in restaurants, wherever you're at, more often than not, you're going to see one or more of those leadership guys there.
Absolutely.
In the first thing in the morning, at 8 o'clock at night. Mm-hmm. And I actually just went up and I said, hey, I just want y'all to, I know y'all know this and that's the way you do it, but that's true leadership is not only for the passengers seeing you guys, that's important, but for the employees, the guys and gals who work under them, they see them there late, early, all those kind of things as well. And I just said, hey, it's refreshing from a leadership standpoint. I love to see that. We love to see that. Mm-hmm. And the ship's captain said, what's your room number? And not thinking, we gave him our room number. Anyhow, just thought nothing of it and shook hands with everybody and took off.
And we headed to our favorite place to eat, the Garden Cafe. So about halfway through eating, the director of entertainment came on and said that the curtain was able to open and that they would have some shows that night, but it wouldn't be until after 10.
It was like 10 and 11:15 or something like that. Yeah.
So we finished our dinner and we decided we were real tired. We were tired, and also on this particular night we were going to have to put our clocks an hour forward. So
we're going to lose an hour.
So we were going to lose an hour too. So, and that had happened a couple of nights, moving it back, moving it forward, depending on where we were going. So, long day in the sun, but fun. That was just going to be too late for us. So we decided we're tired and let's head back to the stateroom.
Yep. So we head back there and walk in, and lo and behold, didn't ask for it or anything, but I guess when the ship's captain asked for our room number, there was a purpose, and they actually sent some chocolate covered strawberries, mm-hmm. and a little note from them. So thought that was pretty special.
That was a very nice surprise, because they didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, we had way over 2,000 passengers on board, and but again, I keep saying that, but I was very impressed with NCL, the friendliness of not only the crew, but the officers and the management and the leadership. It went a long way, and that topped it off.
Yeah, like I think in a previous episode we talked about it, but the general manager and the food and beverage director, they both were walking around, and I'm sitting there holding our DJI camera and our Action Combo 3. Anyhow, he walks up and he pulls out a GoPro out of his pocket. The general manager's, oh man, you got a GoPro? And I was like, we started talking about I'm using DJI now. And you carried on a whole conversation about using these cameras and stuff. Again, just it's kind of refreshing to talk to leadership in that manner.
Absolutely. So that was our day. I hope y'all enjoyed it. We sure had enjoyed our day. And if you have a chance to go on the cruise, this excursion was a thumbs up.
It was a thumbs up. The one thing I guess just we would want to at least look at from a future trip to Belize would be this particular area was not heavily, at least what I had visualized, rainforest. Once we got towards the Mayan community, it was a little bit more, and probably going into that jaguar preserve, it was even better. But that particular, it was pretty scrubby bush for the most part on the drive that we took over to the Mayan community. But again, and there's a lot of mountains, volcanoes, I guess, of activity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's 4 dormant volcanoes. I guess they're dormant.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, so that's just something to look at. If we go back to Belize, we may want to look at a different part of the country,
right?
As well, just from that perspective.
And that just triggered a memory that I want to tell you also. So we really enjoyed this excursion. It wasn't our first choice. First choice was a Mayan ruin.
Yeah, that'd been pretty cool.
And I did book this prior to the cruise on the app. I just waited a little too long. So if you do go on a cruise, once it's you can see the excursions, it's best to look at them and make your decision and book.
As early as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Because it will fill up on the most popular ones.
Yes. Yep.
And, and one thing we didn't do that we could have possibly done is, as soon as we got on board, you could go to the excursion desk.
Yeah.
And, say, hey, I got this excursion. I really wanted to do this Mayan ruins, excursion. Is there a spot available? So supposedly they have a few spots available on most of these. Yeah.
Right. So they do keep a few slots open, like Daryl said, from what we understand, for people who didn't get a chance to book online. And you, from what they say, you would be able to, more than likely, be able to book the one you would like.
So that's just kind of the tip of this episode is if you booked an excursion or you haven't booked an excursion, I mean, on day one, on embarkation day, assuming that excursion desk is open, go swing by that and find out exactly if there's an excursion you wanted to do that you couldn't do or you haven't even scheduled yet. Book it as fast as you can on that first day. Otherwise, the more popular ones will be filled up.
Yep.
Hey, that kind of gives you the whole story around the Harvest Caye Belize excursion day, and then the fun that we had back on ship afterwards. And so tomorrow, we're going to have a excursion to Cozumel, Mexico. And so that's kind of where we're heading overnight. And we're going to do something similar in Cozumel. Again, we don't focus on the beach scene too much, so we're choosing to go do some additional cultural type of excursion and in Cozumel. So we'll talk about that in the next episode.
Yep.
And again, thanks for watching. And look, if you got any questions, put them down in the comments down below. We'll be happy to answer them. And if we can't answer them, we'll find an answer. So feel free to comment on that. And if you've had some experience in Belize,
yes,
or any of these excursion areas or ports of call, let us know what you think about those excursions as well. We can just share it with more and more people just to get better and better input or feedback on the different excursions and the whole cruise in general.
Yep.
But hey, thanks for watching. And as always, we will see you in the next video.